Tulsa Race Massacre, also known as the Tulsa Race Riot, occurred in 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and is considered one of the deadliest and most destructive episodes of racial violence in U.S. history. The attack targeted the Greenwood District, a prosperous African-American community also known as Black Wall Street. The massacre resulted in the deaths of hundreds of black residents, the destruction of their homes and businesses, and the displacement of thousands of people. Despite its significance, the event was largely omitted from mainstream American history for decades, only receiving widespread attention and recognition in recent years. The Greenwood District and Black Prosperity. In the early 20th century, segregation laws, known as Jim Crow laws, were in effect throughout the United States, particularly in the South. Tulsa was no exception, and the city's black population was largely confined to the Greenwood District. Despite these restrictions, Greenwood developed into one of the most prosperous African-American communities in the country. The district earned the nickname Black Wall Street due to its thriving economy, which included black-owned businesses such as banks, hotels, theaters, grocery stores, and even its own hospital and school system. Greenwood's success was a symbol of African-American resilience and self-sufficiency during a period when systemic racism and discrimination severely limited opportunities for black people. Many of its residents were well-educated and middle class, and the community provided a sense of pride for African Americans not only in Tulsa, but across the nation. The spark of violence. The violence that erupted in Tulsa in 1921 was precipitated by an incident involving a young black man named Dick Rowland and a young white woman named Sarah Page. On May 30th, 1921, Rowland, a shoe shiner, was accused of assaulting Page, an elevator operator. The details of the alleged incident remain unclear, with some reports suggesting that Rowland may have tripped and inadvertently touched Page, causing her to scream. Regardless of what actually occurred, Rowland was arrested the next day, and local newspapers sensationalized the story, inflaming racial tensions. A headline in the Tulsa Tribune read, "Nab Negro for attacking girl in elevator," which further fueled the anger of Tulsa's white residents. Rumors of a possible lynching spread throughout the city, and on the evening of May 31st, a white mob gathered outside the courthouse where Rowland was being held. In response, a group of armed black men, including World War I veterans, arrived to protect Rowland and prevent a lynching. A confrontation ensued between the black men and the white mob, and shots were fired. This initial skirmish quickly escalated into a full-scale riot. The destruction of Greenwood. In the early hours of June 1st, 1921, the white mob, many of whom were deputized by local authorities, descended on Greenwood. They looted homes and businesses, set buildings on fire, and indiscriminately shot black residents. Eyewitnesses reported seeing airplanes flying overhead, dropping incendiary devices onto the district, making the Tulsa Race Massacre one of the few instances in American history where aerial attacks were used on civilians. The destruction was swift and devastating. Within hours, the entire Greenwood district had been reduced to ashes. Over 1,000 homes and businesses were destroyed, and an estimated 10,000 black residents were left homeless. The death toll remains uncertain, but estimates range from 100 to 300 people killed, with many others injured. The violence ended only when the National Guard arrived to restore order, but by then, the damage had already been done. The aftermath and suppression of history. In the immediate aftermath of the massacre, the survivors of Greenwood faced tremendous challenges. Insurance companies refused to compensate them for the destruction of their homes and businesses, citing riot clauses in their policies. Local authorities did little to help the victims rebuild, and many of those responsible for the violence were never held accountable. In fact, several black residents were arrested and blamed for inciting the violence, even though it was the white mob that initiated the attack. For decades, the massacre was largely erased from the history books, and the city of Tulsa suppressed any discussion of the event. Many survivors and their descendants were left traumatized and too fearful to speak openly about what had happened. It wasn't until the late 20th century that historians and activists began to uncover the truth about the massacre. In 1996, the state of Oklahoma established the Tulsa Race Riot Commission to investigate the events of 1921 and provide a full account of the tragedy. The commission's report, released in 2001, recommended reparations for the survivors and their descendants, although these recommendations have yet to be fully implemented. Legacy and continued impact. The Tulsa Race Massacre is a stark reminder of the deep racial tensions and systemic racism that have shaped American society. The attack on Greenwood was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of racial violence during the early 20th century, often referred to as the Red Summer of 1919, during which white mobs attacked Black communities across the country. These events highlight the vulnerability of Black success in a society where white supremacy was entrenched. The massacre continues to resonate today as the United States grapples with ongoing racial inequality and calls for reparations. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in the Tulsa Race Massacre, particularly during its centennial in 2021. Public recognition, memorials, and educational efforts have increased, but the quest for justice, including compensation for the descendants of survivors, remains a contentious issue. The Greenwood community's story is not just one of destruction, but also one of resilience. Despite the overwhelming violence they faced, many Black residents of Tulsa worked to rebuild their community in the years following the massacre. Although Black Wall Street never fully regained its former prosperity, the spirit of the Greenwood District continues to inspire movements for racial justice and economic empowerment today. Conclusion. The Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921 remains one of the darkest chapters in American history, a tragic example of how racial hatred and jealousy can lead to unspeakable violence. Yet it also serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience and determination of Black communities in the face of systemic racism and oppression. As awareness of the massacre grows, so does the commitment to ensuring that the lessons of Tulsa are not forgotten. The massacre, once hidden from history, now stands as a symbol of both the challenges African Americans have faced and the ongoing struggle for justice, equality, and recognition in the United States. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest content. We've got plenty more exciting videos coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.